And we're live. Welcome to another episode of Clipper Call. I'm Craig Freeman here with Justin Russo. How you going, Justin?
Better than I was 48 hours ago.
How do you think DeAndre Jordan's going?
Well, he's on a 10-day cruise now, I think. Or he's about to go on a 10-day cruise. So I'd say he's doing well.
Doing pretty well then. I
Well, he
would
was going to
guess.
do well either way. So
He was getting paid $80 million, so
yeah, when you're getting paid $80 million, I don't know if you really have bad days. But he might have had one. I guess the last 24 hours, he might have had the equivalent of a PR bad day.
but he was just playing cards with his mates
And video games, apparently.
and video games. Yeah, what do you reckon they were playing?
Well, I don't want to be cliche and say NBA players are playing like 2K15 or something, but I feel like they might have been playing. FIFA's a big game. FIFA's a big game in the NBA circle, so I'll say they were probably playing FIFA.
What could you see Chris Paul playing? Like he's got to play something he's gonna win at.
Well, I was gonna say Mario Kart, but I don't think DeAndre would have like a Wii, so
DeAndre's a pretty fun guy.
he probably does have every game system.
Yeah, well, he's got $80 million now. So if he didn't before, he can have him now.
If you couldn't afford a game system then, you can afford them now.
Uh,
Man, what a day though, huh?
yeah, it was crazy. It just kept going. Started with emojis. We all learned that Paul Pierce is too old for emojis. That's one thing we learned.
He probably still has a flip phone.
He literally uploaded a picture of a rocket instead of using the rocket emoji.
He's so old, it's great. You just know he uses a flip phone. Like you just know.
Even Woodson used an emoji, and his was good. He had a swimming emoji.
Which Mike Woodson's swimming is actually kind of funny because you can just tell he's not a swimmer. That is not a swimmer right there. Mike Woodson does not want to mess up that goatee. Although he's got the aerodynamic bald head going on, so he might challenge Michael Phelps.
Say that.
Yeah, he might challenge Michael Phelps there at the Olympics.
So, what was your take on DJ?
He went where I expected him to go. As we said off the air, took a little bit of a detour. So yeah, I don't. The Clippers did nothing wrong. The Mavericks obviously didn't do anything wrong. But DeAndre probably could have handled everything. But yeah, like if he's gonna have a regret, and the regret is that he didn't handle it better, and he should have that regret because he should have handled it better.
All it took would have been one call to Cuban saying, "I'm sorry, I've changed my mind."
Yeah, one call to Cuban. We don't know whether or not he called his agent, Dan Fagan, to tell him. And then if Fagan just didn't tell Cuban because he was afraid to tell Cuban because they're such good friends. Because we got to remember, Dan Fagan tried to get Dwight Howard to Dallas before Howard picked Houston.
He got Parsons there.
Yeah, and Parsons is a Dan Fagan guy. The DeMarcus Cousins stuff this year, that's a Dan Fagan guy. So this has not been a good offseason for Dan Fagan, to say the least, in terms of like the way everything's been portrayed. So who knows? But because that's all speculation at this point. Like we don't know whether or not he called Dan Fagan, Dan Fagan just didn't relay the information to Cuban. Because as Doc Rivers said today in his little phone press conference, I guess, is oh God, what did he say? He basically said, like, because when the Clippers got word that DeAndre was gonna sign with Dallas, Dan Fagan called the Clippers and Doc Rivers to tell him, but Dan Fagan didn't do that in this instance. So who knows?
Yeah. No one knows except like Cuban, DeAndre, and everyone inside that house.
Yeah, like if you had to be there, like seriously, like it's all like Woj. We love Woj to death because Woj has sources everywhere. He's probably got Woj was probably in the air ducts at DeAndre's house. But
how do we know Woj wasn't playing 2K with him.
We don't know that he wasn't playing 2K with him. That's the scary part. They probably set up Woj in the back room, in like the spare back room with his own little chair so he can call into Fox Sports 1 and like with the video and everything.
They told him he could come into the house if he sat on that chair that was resting against the door.
God, that was a great tweet.
Oh,
Doc said today
Doc
said today he saw Blake put the chair there for the tweet, and basically said he goes, Doc said he should have recorded it because it was kind of funny. But as Doc said, it's not like they were holding him hostage, like because Doc said there's this perception that like they were just holding him inside the house, and it's like that's not what was happening. Guys were free to come and go. JJ Redick left a few times. Doc left a few times. He said DeAndre left a few times and came back. Like, I just think DeAndre was a 26-year-old guy who just didn't think about the decision that he was making fully. I think he went to the decision too fast to leave, and then it was like, I don't want to leave. Oh my God, what have I done? And he tried to quickly remedy it, but he remedied it in probably one of the worst ways possible.
Maybe after being told that he was going to be the first option, he went back and watched some of his post-ups.
Yeah, I wrote today for Eclipse Nation. It was like, maybe he just finally, like, he might have just taken a step back and realized, once he stopped being bombarded by Chandler Parsons and Mark Cuban and all this stuff, maybe he just finally realized, like, this is they're feeding me a fairy tale. Like, I'm not a 2020 guy. Like, I'll never be a 2020 guy. I'm never going to be a guy who's Shaq-like. I'm never going to be a guy who, is putting up 24. Yeah, like Mark Cuban said he averaged 24 points and 20 rebounds without Blake Griffin in the lineup, which is a wild, inadequacy of facts. Like, that was never the case. He just openly lied about stats, and it was like, what the hell, man? So I just think maybe DeAndre realized he was being fed a load of bull, but like I said, he went about the wrong way. You cannot go about it that way.
Yeah. And
but I should say everything he did was legal. It's literally legal what he did.
Frowned upon.
Maybe it's not right, but legally speaking, it's not wrong.
But it made the greatest day on Twitter ever. Emojis, like Kobe Bryant tweeted out an emoji.
Could you imagine if he still signed with Dallas? Like the reaction Twitter would have had.
Would have been epic.
It would have been. I actually wish I could. I wish there was an ability. Someone had a machine of alternate realities, so you could just see what their reality timeline would have been like.
Clippers Twitter would have been like.
Really? Just stop using the damn sounds. Oh my God.
I found the effect, and I'm not going to stop using them.
You're ridiculous.
Anyway, I'm going to talk about Summer League. Well, have you caught any of the games?
I've caught a few of the games. When I'm home and Summer League's on, I'll usually turn it on, or if there's an Angel game like there is right now, I'll watch the Angel game. I have caught quite a few of the Summer League action for the Clippers. I've probably watched 75% of the minutes that the Clippers have played, so I've missed a little bit, but it's Summer League. Guys look bad in Summer League. Guys look good in Summer League. Summer League is Summer League. You can get, I don't like the people who say, you can't get anything out of Summer League. I think guys get some stuff out of Summer League. But, yeah. I mean, Summer League is basically the way to, weed out who doesn't belong.
Well, if you're not playing good in Summer League, you're not going to play good in the NBA.
Yeah, which is kind of how it – which, a couple years ago, it was kind of funny. A couple years ago, I saw Trey Burke in Summer League, and the first thing I noticed was I do not like the way he cannot beat guys off the dribble. He was getting stymied on first steps off the dribble in Summer League. That can't happen as a point guard, especially someone that young and should have been able to do that. So that's translated to the NBA.
Yeah.
So, but that's just because that's Summer League, and now he's going up against better athletes on a nightly basis and better defenders, and it's still not working. So
and he's not very good.
Yeah, which is why Utah might be trading him.
Probably will. I'd say like they're gonna hand the keys over to X. I'm pretty sure soon.
Because you can't give Trey Burke a max contract in a couple years.
Yeah.
Because that's how bad teams stay bad. Which, shout out to Utah. You got rid of Enes Kanter. You don't have to pay him $70 million. So congrats for you.
Yeah, Portland chucking that massive offer she had him.
Sidetrack on that real quick before I get to the rest of what we're going to talk about. That's actually a brilliant ploy by Portland. It really is, because if it forces Oklahoma City to match it, because if they don't match it, you're basically in between a rock and a hard place, and your bench depth goes down. And if Oklahoma City doesn't match it, that also helps Portland, who's in their division. Because Portland can get away with not playing Enes Kanter 35 minutes a night. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting, because I think Oklahoma City has to match, and that's the problem.
Well, if they don't match, they probably risk losing Durant because they won't be as good this year.
Possibly, but I also look at it like if Durant's staying hinges on whether or not they actually re-up Enes Kanter, then I don't know what the hell that says about Kevin Durant.
But that re-upping Enes Kanter takes them from 55 to 60 wins.
Maybe.
Like they're got a better chance at winning it all with Kanter.
I don't know. I've seen some projections where people have projected win totals and stuff that, like, if you just split Kanter's minutes between the duo of Mitch McGary and Steven Adams, basically they actually increased by 2 wins. I saw that today. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, plus going into next year's for cap space, it's like they have $50 million on the books next year. If they don't have Enes Kanter and Durant's a free agent, it's like, well, there's $40 million you can throw at other free agents before you re-sign Durant with bird rights.
Yeah.
So it's like, and if you re-sign Kanter, you're basically paying him $20 million for the next season. So it's like now you're at $70 million, and now you only got $20 million to give somebody besides Durant.
But Durant's cap hold is 22, something like that, $22 million.
Yeah, so you're like, you might as well at that point just. I would not match the offer, but I think they have to.
I wouldn't have given the offer if I was Portland, because I just wouldn't want to pay him that much.
That's a risky proposition. But I think Presti matches. I think Presti matches.
I just don't think he's that good.
Enes Kanter?
Yeah.
I don't think he's $17 million or whatever a year. So, but then again, I didn't think Reggie Jackson was worth $16 million a year. So who knows?
I can't believe Reggie Jackson's getting paid more than Brandon Knight.
That's bonkers, man.
And Detroit.
But you know what though? Think about how big of a bullet OKC dodged.
Oh yeah.
Because could you imagine they had to pay him and Enes Kanter? Man.
I can't believe Detroit traded Middleton and Knight for Brandon Jennings. 2 guys getting like max contracts.
Well, what is it? They traded Knight and Middleton for Jennings, but here's the crazy part: Knight and Middleton combined, I think, make $84 million next, like in their contracts for the restricted free agent contracts now. Combined $84 million, and Detroit had to pay Reggie Jackson $80. So it's like you could have had 2 for the price of 1 if you just didn't do all those trades.
And they're both better.
And they're both better, but that's for another time. Let's talk about Summer League, though. We need to go back to Summer League.
Who's been your favorite player so far?
I actually like Nate Walters.
Yep.
Prior to his injury, I like Nate Walters. So,
I think of all the players, I'd like to see him make the team.
But with his injury now, I don't think that's happening. Plus, I think another team's going to offer him a deal.
He's just really solid, like as a third, even if he's a third point guard.
Yeah, he plays within himself, and that's a big deal.
He was solid in the NBA before he got injured, and then
he was.
He was a legitimate rotation guard. If he never got injured that first time, he'd probably be getting paid a mid-level exception right now.
Yeah, and I don't think Milwaukee deals for Michael Carter-Williams at that point.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I know we're talking about Summer League, but by the way, that Michael Carter-Williams thing, here's what's interesting about that. They didn't want to pay Brandon Knight his max RFA offer, right?
Yeah, but they're going to have to pay.
Yes. and they might have to pay Michael Carter Williams more because of the rising cap,
And he's the worst player.
and he's a worse player. So Milwaukee really might have shot themselves in the temple with everything.
Still like the rest of that team.
Like the rest of that team, don't like him.
I've been the biggest letdown's been Royce White. I don't know what anyone was expecting of him, but he's been nothing really.
Yeah, I had people tell me that he was talented, and it's like, yeah, talent matters, but if you don't know what to do with your talent, that's worse. And I don't think it's that he's so much of a head case. It's just he's just not good.
Well, he hasn't played in a while either.
Well, he got a 10-day contract from Sacramento. Was it last year or 2 years ago? And he played 3 games with them or something.
Might have been last year.
Yeah, I mean, he's just not good. It really makes you wonder how he even got drafted 16th overall. Like, he got taken before Terrence Jones.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so 2 years ago. 2 years ago with Sacramento.
I haven't minded Liam McMorrow, fifth big off the bench, the Ekpe Udoh position who doesn't play. Yeah.
He's not going to make the roster just simply because I don't think he's good. I just think he's just there.
He's big.
He's literally big. That's just it. So
That's right. I wouldn't care either way if he was the fifth big or not.
Do you really want to carry 5 bigs though?
Yeah. If you got 15-man roster, you got one of them, 2 of them, or one of them in the rotation, 1.5 of them in the rotation, one just sitting there.
Because if you carry 5, if you carry 5 true bigs, that might be overkill.
They carried 5 bigs last year, didn't they?
Well, let's see. What they have? They had Hawes, Blake, DJ, Baby, Udoh. Yeah, I mean, but Udoh never played. Hawes basically got iced out after a while. So they went to a 3 big really rotation.
What have you thought of CJ Wilcox?
Yeah, it's what I expect. He chucks. He's a chucker, which is fine.
Yeah.
He's a solid shooter. He just chucks and.
I could see him getting spot. I wouldn't mind him getting spot minutes if all he's doing is shooting.
Yeah, if you stick him in the corner, just say CJ, just shoot the ball. I think he'd be okay. But
he's pretty big. He's actually bigger than Brandon Dawson.
Yeah, which is weird.
He's an inch taller or something like that.
Yeah, I don't mind CJ. I just know he's not going to really be anything more than he is now, which is fine, especially for this team because it's not like you need him to do anything. You know, God willing, you don't need him to do anything.
Just shoot and then attack off the dribble if someone runs out at you.
Yeah, like just shoot, catch and shoot, and attack off the dribble on a closeout. That's it.
I could see him playing spot back up 2 minutes if they move Crawford.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I mean, which we're going to get into it a little bit later with moving Jamal. But, yeah, I mean, he's been okay in the Summer League. Brandon Dawson, who I know people want to talk about, he's been really good, but
he's
also
good.
Yeah, he's also 22, and I don't know how to put it other than he's just really athletic, and he offensive rebounds really well. He rebounds well in general. But especially offensive rebound wise, and off the air, you and I were talking about him. It's basically he's offensively he's DeAndre Jordan, but 5 to 6 inches shorter, which is a problem because you want him to play small forward, or if you go small, he can play the 4, but he can't shoot. Literally cannot shoot. In college. In 4 years in college, he only attempted 9 threes. He missed all 9 of them. In Summer League, he's taken 2. He's missed both. So you're talking about a guy who, in just over 4 years, has taken 11 total threes and missed all of them. His jumper does not look good. He doesn't look confident taking jumpers. Basically, the only thing he's good for is dunks, steals, basically dunks off of steals and runouts, and just offensive rebound putbacks. So,
no matter how good a guy. Yeah, no matter how good a guy is on defense, we even saw with Tony Allen. And Tony Allen is, it's impossible for Brandon Dawson to be as good as Tony Allen on defense in his first year in the league. and even Tony Allen couldn't be played in a playoff series. The Warriors just ignored him and played 4-on-5.
And he was and Tony Allen the first 3 games of that series was making a difference. That's the part. And then the Golden State adjusted for him, and that was the end of that.
Yeah.
So I mean, like you can't play 4-on-5 basketball offensively. Like it just does not work.
10 years ago, he could have played.
Yeah, 10 years ago he could have played, and this is not 10 years ago. Like this is
so
now.
different.
Yeah,
and
so
especially like the only way he can play is if you say you had a center who could shoot threes. If you had Chris Bosh at center, then you could get away with him on the wing.
Yeah, and you and I talked about before we went on the air. It's like you can play Chris Paul, JJ Redick, Dawson, Pierce, and Griffin together, where you just have basically you tell Brandon Dawson, can you just go be DeAndre Jordan for a minute? Like just stand over there, just try to offensive rebound. Like you can get away with that, but not for long.
Yeah, like he I think he'll make the team because they paid for the pick.
Yeah, he's gonna make the team. He's already in my roster projection. He's making the team. He
I
might as well make the team because he's a free player.
I just don't think he'll play. I don't think he can play.
I said it on Cliff Davis. I said I hope he doesn't play because that's a good sign if he's not playing.
Yeah, and I'm low on Wes Johnson, but Wes Johnson's a better player than him right now. Like
which is sad to say.
It's pretty easy to say that. Jordan Hamilton on an NBA team, like Jordan Hamilton doesn't look as good as Dawson right now, but on an NBA team where you just need him to really be the 4th or 5th option on the floor, Jordan Hamilton's more valuable than Brandon Dawson doing that.
And if Brandon Dawson was 5 inches taller, he'd be DeAndre Jordan, just not as good as DeAndre Jordan, but he'd be DeAndre Jordan. Like that's not a bad thing. It's just you can't get that out of a hybrid forward.
Yeah, like those energy guys have to be big.
Yeah, and someone tried to compare him to Kenneth Faried, but it's like Kenneth Faried, like you looked at him, that you always knew that was a power forward. You look at Brandon Dawson, you look at Brandon Dawson, like he looks like a small forward. Like he is what he is.
Like he looks like 2-guard to me. Like I'll get his measurements up right now.
He plays bigger than a 2. Like he does play like a 4. But the fact he can't space the floor is such a huge problem.
Yeah, so he's 6'5" without shoes.
Well, you play what's he with shoes? 6'7"?
6'6", 3/4.
So 6'7". Yeah, he's 6'7" with shoes. I mean, he's got small forward size with a center's game.
Yeah.
And not bad, just not useful on the wing.
It's just
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah. He works hard. He works really hard, and you want to see a guy like that succeed. It's just really hard to play them in the NBA.
Especially now. Like, as you said, 10 years ago it would have been fine, but now you can't get away with that. Like, you can't get away with a Tony Allen on offense if a team knows how to negate him. Like, you can't get away with guys on offense who don't know what to do. Like, people want to, clown on DeAndre Jordan for, he can't do post moves and he's not this guy and et cetera, et cetera. It's like, yeah, but he's still one of the premier pick-and-roll bigs in basketball. Like, you can't put Brandon Dawson in a middle pick-and-roll and tell him to go lob the ball. Oh, go catch the lob, buddy. Like, that's not how it's going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, like you and I have said, we're rooting for him. I just don't expect much, if anything. So he's just a really cheap player, which is fine.
And he could be fine for, the end of a quarter where you don't want to pick up, say, the 3rd foul on Chris Paul, so you put an extra wing in to defend, and you put him in to defend the point guard.
Yeah, he could be what – basically, I look at him like Dante Jones. Like, Dante Jones never played. But when he did play, he was always at the end of a quarter for just one defensive possession, right? And that will be Brandon Dawson. And
I'd rather see Brandon Dawson doing that than Dante Jones because Dante Jones wasn't that good on defense.
Yeah, he was just Dante Jones. That's all it was.
Yeah. So, do you think? Well, we know Wilcox is on the team. Hamilton's probably making a team.
Dawson's making the team.
Yeah, Dawson will make the team. I think that's it. I think they're the 3. I would have said Walters, but
yeah, I think Walters would have made it before his injury, and I don't think Austin Rivers would have been back.
No, I think they would have brought Austin back, and they would have just not picked up Hudson's.
Okay, yeah,
Hudson's
that's
still
right. Yeah,
guaranteed, so
you could have just shipped Hudson somewhere for like nothing.
yeah. Oh no, he's not guaranteed. You can just waive him.
Is he still non-guaranteed? Because I thought he got guaranteed on the 30th.
Was he? Well, one of them two, either Hamilton or Hudson. One of them was later than the other.
I think it's Hamilton.
Uh,
Because on Spotrac, Hamilton's not on there right now, but Lester Hudson is.
fair enough.
So I think Hudson's deal is now officially guaranteed.
Just over $1 million. $1,015,000.
Yeah, which is nothing. You might as well just give it to him. Like, he's never gonna play either, you know. Like, at least you hope not, right? Like,
Yeah, well, if he plays, I mean something's gone wrong.
yeah, like some of these guys are like something gone. Like when people say like, "Oh, how did Golden State get all these guys on their bench, but the Clippers are basically scraping the bottom of the barrel?" Well, it's like Golden State got their picks and their bench really kind of through the draft.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like they just drafted well, and they got fortunate that Steph Curry was passed up by Minnesota twice, and they got fortunate Klay Thompson didn't get picked by Sacramento, one pick ahead of them, because Sacramento took Jimmer Fredette. They got lucky they got Harrison Barnes in the draft because they tanked to keep their pick, like stuff like that. Like you have to like think about their bench, like seriously, think about Andre Iguodala. What happened?
Zealy, they got a Zealy at like pick 30.
Yeah, like 31 or something, right? Like they got him like with one of the early second round picks. And Draymond Green they got with an early second round pick from Brooklyn. It's like, but look at their bench, right? They had David Lee off the bench, who was basically a max contract but got replaced by a second round pick, Draymond Green. Andre Iguodala, the Finals MVP, was the guy they basically almost gave a max contract to, and he's being paid high money, and he got displaced by a guy they picked 7th overall. So their bench had high-priced guys that just got supplanted by younger, cheaper, cost-effective guys.
Yeah.
And they got Sean Livingston for, what, the MLE? Is that what it was? They got Sean Livingston for the MLE. They got Spates the year before for that, I think.
They got Spates for the mid-level, I think.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, they knocked out of the park with some guys. It's just, but they also had a lot of stuff go their way.
Well, they had Steph Curry on that cheap deal. And they haven't maxed out Klay yet.
Yeah, that's
it.
Yeah, people always bring up in – well, it's like you see the people bring up in free agency like, oh, Chris Middleton's making more money than Steph Curry is. It's like, well, yeah, because Steph Curry signed his deal 3 years ago coming off of a 26-game played season with busted ankles. Like, of course he's getting paid more than Steph Curry.
So what do you reckon the final roster will be? So we know Chris, JJ, Pierce, Blake, DJ, Stevenson, Crawford.
We'll get into Crawford in a minute, I guess. So we got Chris, DJ, Blake, Pierce, JJ, Lance, Wilcox, Wesley, Hudson. I'll still say Hudson's on the roster because whatever. Dawson, Hamilton. I still think
Udo, but I don't think Udo.
I think Udo might make it unless – I think Udo makes it unless they get someone like JaVale McGee.
Well, I think they just go for a different center because they need a guy who can play this time. Like, Udo didn't play.
But here's the thing, though. If you operate under the assumption that, like, let's say Pierce is replacing Barnes, right?
Yeah.
But he also, in some ways, is replacing Hawes.
Well, I'd say Wes is replacing Barnes.
Okay, so let's say Wes replaces Barnes. So Pierce kind of replaces what Hawes could do as a stretch. So now you're playing Pierce as a 3, but also as a stretch 4. So it's like rather than having a traditional big, but still having him space like Hawes, you now have Pierce, so you go in small more. So maybe you don't need actual true bigs as much.
I think you still need one. You still need a backup center.
You need a backup center.
I don't know how much Blake and Pierce you can take playing at the same time.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
So you need someone to spell DJ, and I'd take a flyer on JaVale.
Yeah, I would take a flyer on him too. I mean, I just don't know if he signs here. I don't know.
Is he trying to make a return? Because that dude could play before he got injured, and then he took a year off to get himself healthy. A year
Who
off
was that?
is
Emeka
Emeka
Okafor?
Okafor.
Word is he might be healthy. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he's healthy.
I'd give him a camp invite. He could play.
He likes Chris. So who knows? I think the roster outside of like if they sign someone unexpected like Kevin Seraphin for a vet minimum or
For a minimum.
But I don't think so either. But I'm just speculating like say Seraphin or JaVale or I don't even know who else is out there right now.
Udo.
I just think Udo comes back because he's such a great locker room guy. Apparently, apparently everyone loves. Apparently DeAndre loves Udo.
Was Udo in the house? Was he playing video games?
I don't know if he was. I don't think he was there, but I know people were talking about how like Udo was very instrumental to helping DeAndre like mentally. So I don't know. And I think a lot of people overlook the mental aspect of athletes in terms of like comfortability with like even like Dante Jones was supposedly a great locker room guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, those guys matter.
Andrea Bargnani still available.
You know what's funny is I am actually a Bargnani fan and for no reason, but keep him the hell away from my team, please.
Jason Smith. I'd just give Jason Smith.
He signed, I think.
Did he?
Yeah, I think Jason Smith signed. I can look it up. But yeah. Oh, he signed with Orlando. That's right.
What about Psycho T?
He's still out there, I believe. I wouldn't sign him, but I
the return of Reggie Evans.
Thought about him. Wouldn't hate that.
Is he good? Like he can rebound, but is he actually good?
In the sense of like, is he like an above average player? No. But he can rebound. He tries on defense. He flops a lot, which is hilarious to watch. Because like if you look at Reggie Evans, that's like the toughest guy ever, except for when he flops. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't mind him back.
That's who Brandon Davies is. He's a smaller Reggie Evans.
Oh God. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
All right.
It's gonna be real interesting.
If the perfect scenario here is they move Jamal for a good backup center.
Okay, well, if you want to transition into that, I was thinking about today. I don't know why Chicago would do this other than to get out of the contract a year early.
No, but Taj.
Huh?
Taj?
For Taj, yeah. Because Taj's deal runs for this coming year and a year after. So maybe, like, you could do, like, Jamal, CJ, Lester, and something for Taj.
I don't think Chicago do it at all.
The only incentive Chicago has for that is just to, like, get out of Taj's deal a year earlier just for the rising cap.
I still think Josh McRoberts is a chance, but he can't play center.
Maybe. I don't know. I like the Taj idea, but I just don't see why Chicago does that.
Yeah. Because they could get more than Crawford for them anyway.
Yeah, like they could. I don't know why they would flip him to Cleveland, but they can give Brandon Haywood if they really wanted to. You know, so I don't know.
All right, we'll go to questions.
All right. First question I got was, who should the Clippers try and sign with their remaining spots? And the second part of that was, should they trade Jamal? Who they should try and sign? JaVale McGee, as crazy as it sounds, try to sign him. If you can possibly,
non-guaranteed deal.
Yeah, giving him a non-guaranteed deal would be fine. I don't know if he would take a non-guaranteed deal, but You can always give him. You can do what they did with Wesley Johnson, which is you give him a 1-year minimum and then a second-year player option.
So
Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So like, if he feels he earns his money, he can opt out. Basically, what they did with Darren Collison. Should they trade Jamal? Yeah. And the only reason they should trade Jamal is because Lance and Jamal cannot be on the court together.
Yeah. That'd be horrible.
I don't think you can play Lance, Jamal, Austin, and Pierce together. Not because of defense or anything, but because offensively it would be 4 guys who want the ball to just do whatever they want to do.
I think like Austin's gonna play more off ball this year probably. Like he'll defend point guards and then play a lot more off ball. You have Stevenson, main ball handler.
I think Lance is going to be the guy who has to guard the toughest perimeter player now.
Yeah.
So this will be interesting. I don't know what the Clippers should do in terms of Jamal. I mean, I don't know who's out there for them. It's gonna be. I think they missed the boat. I think they missed the boat with Jamal a little bit.
They shouldn't trade him just to trade him, but they should look at deals if they can find someone to fill a hole. So that's either a really good backup point guard and not bring back Austin, or bring back Austin still and play Stevenson at the 3, or a backup center. Like they're the 2 things they should look at now.
Yeah, one of the things that someone brought up was Jason Thompson. I saw that brought up today. Was like the Clippers could possibly, because Jamal for Thompson worked straight up, I believe, or you can just throw in C.J. Wilcox.
Thompson's got a few years on his deal, so some team could just want to get rid of him.
Yeah, he's in Philadelphia right now, and
Philly.
Yeah, he's in Philly. He's got this year and a year after. So he's basically like Taj Gibson. Like they have 2 years. And
he can play. Like he'd definitely be an upgrade over any of the backup bigs they've had.
Yeah, so I mean, there's worse things in the world you can do. So we'll see.
This ties in with one of the other questions, which is potential realistic Jamal trades. If not, how the hell can Jamal, Lance, Pierce coexist? I think I've answered that one as well.
Oh yeah, I the second question was you just aliens, like you just have to pray they can coexist. Yeah, so potential Jamal trade, like realistic ones, I think Jamal for Jason Thompson, like Jamal Wilcox for Jason Thompson, I think works, but because Philly likes random things, so.
Well, Philly gets out of the deal earlier, so I don't know why they wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
Jamal's not guaranteed. They can waive him straight away, keep losing.
Well, he's guaranteed now.
Oh, yeah, he's guaranteed now. Well, it's only one more year.
Yeah, he's guaranteed now, so yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's just so weird, isn't it? Like, I think the Clippers just missed the boat by a year. I think they should have done it in the last offseason, trading him.
Okay, we've got, would you still go for Josh Smith or JaVale McGee? We've answered McGee. Yeah, take a flyer on him. Josh Smith, I don't really see why.
I would go for McGee. I wouldn't go for Josh Smith. I can't stand Josh Smith, but whatever.
He's too small to play the 5. He can't shoot. Like, he doesn't really fill a strong need.
Yeah, that's the problem. I just don't know. Because I know in my heart of hearts he would come to the Clippers and just suck.
Here's a good question. Better fit for the starting lineup, Wes or Pierce?
I'm going to go Pierce. And the reason I'm going to go Pierce is because I think Pierce fits better with that veteran core. And I think Wes is better off the bench as basically in the Matt Barnes role from a couple of years ago, where off the bench. Like, remember that, like a Tribe Called Bench? Like he would come off the bench and it was basically just all energy. Like you can just tell Wes, just be energy. Like don't dribble the ball ever, but just be energy.
I think the thing is Wes is probably the one guy who could benefit the most by playing with Chris Paul because he's athletic, he can run the floor, and corner threes for days.
I think he'll still play with Chris Paul. I just don't think he'll play with them as a starter.
Yeah. if they didn't have Stevenson, then I might say Pierce with the bench is better. But Stevenson's going to handle the ball so much that you probably don't want to waste Pierce on there.
Yeah,
And either way, I'm not a big. I don't make a fuss about who's starting. It's more who's finishing, and Pierce is going to finish games. So
You know about the Jamal thing. You know who would be an interesting super buy low candidate? Seriously, Anthony Bennett.
no, he's
You
too
wouldn't want
expensive.
him?
He's
No,
too expensive.
no, he makes the same as Jamal.
Yeah, I know, but his deal goes up. His deal goes
His
up.
deal
and it's
goes up,
longer
but
than-
if he doesn't work out, he has a team option for next year that you can just decline.
he can't play center. Like you're saying no to Josh Smith. Josh Smith's better than Bennett. They both
Josh
play
Smith
the
is
same.
better than Bennett, but I mean,
I
don't know.
I wouldn't trade Crawford for Bennett. Crawford's too good for that.
Okay. What if Minnesota gave you like a second rounder or something? Like if Minnesota gave me Gorgie Jang, I would take that in a heartbeat. But they never.
Adrian Payne.
never
They
do
gave
that.
me Adrian Payne. I'd do it.
I wouldn't want Adrian Payne, but if they gave me Gorgie Jang, I would do it. But they would never do that.
No, they wouldn't. They could give me Pekovic if they want.
No, I wouldn't take it just because of his contract.
From a level of 1 to streaking down your street, how excited were you that DJ re-signed? We answered that.
A
at the start.
5? Like a 5?
Wasn't excited. I was more like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, I was like, I was bewildered more than excited.
Yeah. Then last
So,
question. Is Royce
yeah.
White getting a training camp invite? No.
No, he's terrible.
He has
Also,
been good.
well, actually, we got another question. Does Dan Fagan have to sign off on DJ's contract to ensure no problems with breaching of the agent/client relations?
I think it's just someone from their agency.
I think it's just a qualified or actually just a certified NBA agent.
So it could be anyone who's approved by the NBA.
I think so. Plus, it would also be dumb of Fagan to not sign off on it. Because can
Oh,
you
yeah, he's
imagine
not
if,
money.
yeah, like he wouldn't get the commission. Like that'd be
He'd lose-
career suicide for Dan Fagan to be like, no,
he'd
I'm not
lose a
signing off
massive
on
player.
this.
Like,
Yeah,
what do you reckon? What are they getting the agents? 15%? 10%?
Some agents get, I think some agents get 3. Like you got to remember, like it's not like 15%. I think it's like for instance, NFL agents are not permitted to see any more than receive more than 3%. NBA agents, I think it's 4%. So he gets between 3 and 4% probably. Which 4% on 80 million is, I'm doing the math right now. I'm sorry. Basically, he just made he made
Clyde?
$3
Clyde,
million.
That's what the answer is.
Oh my god. Yeah, he made Dan Fagan made $3 million either way, so there you go.
Yeah.
For being a, you know what, I'm not even gonna say what I was gonna say about Dan Fagan.
All right. So you got anything else?
I'm getting called out about Brandon Dawson right now about his shooting form, so that's fun. I got nothing. I mean, other than this was wild. Like all I got. Like the day, like the last 24 hours have been wild. 48 hours have been wild.
It was so fun.
Did I ever tell you what happened to me yesterday when I woke up?
What?
Okay, so I go to bed and I don't charge my phone before I go to bed. Like my phone charger is in another room. So I went to sleep and there was like 50% battery life. And I woke up and my phone for some reason just saps battery power, right? So I woke up, my phone was at 4%. I had like 7 text messages, 16 emails, and like 5 or 6 like sports notification updates, you know?
Yeah.
And I bypassed emails and text messages right away because the first thing I saw when I like did the little drop down thing on my phone was Clippers confident DeAndre Jordan re-signs. I was like, what? I clicked it and I was like, what the hell is this? I thought I was dreaming. I got up out of bed, and as I'm walking out of my room, I accidentally bumped into the door frame like that, and I didn't wake up, so I knew I was still like in reality. and then I charge my phone in the back room where I am right now. So I charge my phone, and then like I get on the desktop 20 to 30 minutes later, and then all of a sudden I see like there's like this emoji thing happening. I'm like, what the hell is going on, right? So then all of a sudden I start seeing the news roll, and I'm like, this is wild, man. Like it was surreal.
I wish there was a way to like take your timeline all the way back to then and just look at the timeline again. You got to do too much scrolling.
Yeah, you have to do way too much. Like especially for me, like that's just a shit ton of scrolling. I tweet way too much, but yeah. I guess my parting thoughts would be I feel bad for Dallas. I honest to God, like heart to heart, I really do feel bad for Dallas. I do.
They're screwed.
Yeah, they're screwed. No team should have to deal with like they had to end up giving Wesley Matthews the max contract he wanted. Like you know what I mean? Like that's just they gave him an extra $13 million because DeAndre Jordan wasn't like because Wes Matthews took a pay cut to play with DeAndre Jordan, but because DeAndre wasn't going, he got the extra $13 million. So now you're paying Achilles injury, Wesley Matthews, and possible
back bad.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I love Wes. Like when Wes was healthy, I was giving him max any day of the week.
Yeah, you and I both. We were like, man, Wes Matthews, that's a $15+ million a year player, man. You know, so It sucks for Dallas. It sucks for Dirk Nowitzki. It does suck for Mark Cuban, but
oh, quickly, Cuban and Brassard.
Oh yeah, that was greatness, wasn't it?
Oh, it's so good. They're still going at it.
Are they really?
Like, Brassard, Cuban tweeted, "Show me the facts, and I'll give $100,000 to any charity you want."
Did Broussard ever tweet the facts?
I think we're still waiting on Brassard to tweet some facts.
Chris Broussard has never tweeted facts in his life. So that's always fun. But yeah, I know I really do feel bad for Dallas. I do. Like no team should like Clippers fans had to deal with that with Elton Brand, so I understand where they're coming from. It just sucks, man. It really does. So I'm sorry, Dallas. I'm happy DeAndre is back. It's been only thing I keep coming back to has been wild, man.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's going to be an interesting season. It's been by far an interesting offseason. So
yeah. So here he goes. Post what you have. I have the facts. You got lied to. That's what Cuban said to Brassard. Then he goes, "How about this? You post any proof I was calling or texting his friends. I will give $100,000 to the charity of your choice." No word yet from Brassard.
I'm up for anybody calling out Chris Broussard,
especially Cuban. It's just fun. All right.
You know, if like people don't like Mark Cuban, I like Mark Cuban. I think he's great for basketball. Right. Honestly, I do.
He's a good owner. He's great for the NBA.
He is great. There was the Deadspin article from yesterday about how maybe drunk Mark Cuban. Like, did you read that article? Drunk Mark Cuban might have actually ruined this, because apparently he was at a bachelor party with Chandler Parsons, Blake Griffin, and a couple other people. And he was like dancing and drinking, and he was drunk as hell in the club. And apparently he and Blake Griffin had like a face-to-face verbal confrontation of sorts. And someone like actually recorded it, but you can't really hear anything. But like the guy speculates who recorded it was basically like, did Mark Cuban just tell him like why DeAndre Jordan left? And then did Blake Griffin then get told by DeAndre Jordan, hey, I'm having second thoughts, and Blake then relayed the information to Doc and company like, this is why DeAndre left. Let's just reassure him. So,
that's funny.
Drunk Mark Cuban could have ruined it for the Dallas Mavericks, but you know, I'd rather have a Mark Cuban than I don't even know anymore what bad owners. Yeah, I'd rather have drunk Mark Cuban than the Maloofs or Donald Sterling or what's his name? The guy who Dolan, who owns the Knicks. So
yeah. Knicks had a sneaky good offseason, just quietly.
So, you know, so did the Lakers, to be honest.
Yeah, they got him for nothing.
Yeah,
The only team that lost are the Mavs. The Mavs are like the only team that lost in the offseason. I think like
well,
big time.
Portland too. But yeah, so Mavs and Portland lost. The big gainers of the offseason, Utah, because everyone, like the teams that were on like the cusp of maybe not the playoffs next year, just fell off. So like Utah and Oklahoma City are basically right back up there again. So
But
this is interesting.
nice chatting with you, man.
Yeah, dude, we're gonna have to do it again.
We'll do
If
it
the
again.
offseason, yeah, if the offseason keeps going insane, we're gonna have to do this more often.
All right. Catch
All
you
right,
soon.
don't get killed by a kangaroo.